our mindset is win each day, and we're going 4-0 from this point on. Whatever happens, happens.
And that's really all the Saints can do at this point, Matt, with a 4-9 record coming off of a bye. Welcome into the Black and Gold Report. I'm Corey Rholdon, joined by ESPN Radio's Matt Musso. And Matt, if the season wasn't over a couple weeks ago, it seems like the Bucs really put a dagger in that.
Yeah, final nail in the coffin. Was 2 weeks ago in Tampa Bay, and man, it's made even worse by looking what happened to Tampa out in the Bay Area, isn't it? You got to win that game when you're up 13 points with 3 minutes left in the game.
You're right, and let's take a deep dive into it. This is where I think it all starts. Mark Ingram goes out 1 yard short of the first down. Next play, Marquez Callaway on the slant route. Your fourth string receiver. The Saints have to punt with 5 minutes left in this game, up 13 points. And let's go back to this play with Ingram. And I get it. He's injured. He's struggling. But I think we can all agree, why isn't Alvin Kamara on the field?
Yeah, that's been a question everyone's going to ask, right? But even to your point with the injury, Corey, it's 2nd and 8. He was not injured enough to get 8 yards. So get 9. Just get 1 more yard and then step out of bounds and go down with your injury. Get the first down and in the game.
Yep, and the Saints make these crucial mistakes all year long. Here, Brady hasn't hooked up with Mike Evans basically the entire game. But Paulson Adebo draws a huge pass interference call. I still think it should be 15 yards, not 50.
Not a spot,
yeah, but still, same mistakes continue to happen with this team, and that's going to lead to a Brady to Sutton touchdown.
Yeah, obviously, look, no Marshawn Lattimore in the game is huge on that play, right? He shuts down Mike Evans on that play. I think we can all agree. And once Tom Brady scored that one, the writing was on the wall.
Yep, and then you can't hold the football here for
Absolutely
5-6 seconds if you're Andy Dalton on 2nd and 7. But on the next play, Dalton throws a really good ball down the middle to Taysom Hill, a play he should catch.
Yeah, no, he should catch it. I mean, that's one that Taysom Hill has caught plenty of times in his career. He knows he's going to get hit. He'd probably tell you he should have caught it as well. On the sack, the play call itself was terrible. Your only receiver was just called up from the practice squad. I don't know who you thought you were going to catch off guard on that play. And then, yeah, as you said, Taysom's made that catch. He's got to come down with it in crunch time there.
And then we all know what's going to happen. Brady has done this a billion times. He's going to go right down the field, pick apart the Saints defense, and he gives you a little bit of hope, right? 5 seconds. Nope. Touchdown. Tampa Tom does it again, and the Saints lose heartbreakingly. And Dennis Allen basically said it. They had to put him away.
It's not just the end of the game, it's what leads up to the end of the game that where you have opportunities to take advantage of some things, and when you don't do that and you allow a team to kind of hang in there and hang in there and hang in there, you give them opportunities at the end of the game. And so when you have an opportunity to put a team away, you got to be able to put them away.
Like we said earlier, now the Saints are 4-9, just in a worst possible position to be in. No first-round pick. What do you do from here? What is the state of the New Orleans Saints?
Not very good. The state of the New Orleans Saints, we talked about it earlier this season, Corey. It's a place that the franchise is very familiar with, a place they've been plenty, just not a place they've been recently in about 16 years. That's where they are right now. They're in the doldrums once again.
Our generation was pretty lucky for 15 years.
Very.
And now let's take a look on how the Saints got here. Back in February, they hired Dennis Allen after Sean Payton retired, and it looked like the right move at the time, right?
Yeah, it did. I mean, it made a lot of sense, right? I mean, he knows the personnel. He knows the front office. He's done great as the defensive coordinator. He's had experience as a head coach. It didn't go so well, but everyone's entitled to a second chance. You can keep the momentum that you've had going. It makes a ton of sense. It just doesn't always work out that way.
And they, like you said, they went all in, and they tried to get a franchise quarterback in Deshaun Watson. Thankfully, in my opinion, that didn't work out, as Deshaun had a ton of legal issues, but still, they wanted to commit to going all in. So what did they do? They traded for another first-round pick, also giving up a future first and a second to go and get Chris Olave, a star wideout. He's worked out, I think, this season, and they also drafted an offensive lineman, Trevor Penning. Would you have made those first-round pick moves?
I would have. I mean, I think it goes back to what we were talking about. We all thought it was going to work out with Dennis Allen, right? It made sense to go all in. That's what they did. So I in hindsight, even I have no problem with them doing that.
And then the hype was extremely real across Louisiana because the Saints finally signed some LSU players and Tyrann Mathieu and Jarvis Landry. So the hype train was real with this team going into the summer. They had a lot of buzz. They had weapons. Their defense is really good. And offensively, on paper, they look stout. But then the injuries started to happen with Jameis Winston having a foot injury during fall camp. And then you trade your heart and soul of the team and Chauncey Gardner-Johnson.
That's the one that hurts the most, right, is CJ. He's been awesome with the Eagles. The interception numbers are off the chart. And you lose, like you said, your heart and soul, the leadership that you had from that guy. It's just been tough.
And then Jameis continues to deal with injuries during the season. Michael Thomas goes out. Marshawn Lattimore hasn't played in several weeks. And the team basically has fallen apart. No, not basically. They have fallen apart and had one of the most disappointing seasons in Saints history. Now you're going to take a look at their future picks. How do you fix this? Well, they don't have a first-round pick this year. They only have a second and third. Maybe, like you said, they could trade back in to the first round somehow. And then in 2024, with that deal, they also lost a second-round pick.
I'd like to say you just blow it up somehow, but I'm not convinced that's what they're going to do.
They're not,
right?
but
I mean, we've seen them time and time again get under a salary cap that they have no business getting under. We've seen them time and time again find a way back into the first round. So I'm inclined to think if they're still in win now mode, if they're not going to part ways with Dennis Allen after this year, they're going to find a way to get under the salary cap. They're going to find a way to get back in the first round, and they're going to go from there. That's not what I would do. But if you're asking me what I think they do, that's what I think they do somehow, some way, yet again.
But for what? What are you doing it for?
The question.
You don't have a franchise quarterback. Drew Brees is not there anymore. It's time to rebuild and kind of change this franchise direction. No win all. I want them to blow it up. Now to the Saints, get ready to play another NFC South team in the Atlanta Falcons in what is pretty much an elimination game for the Saints and the Falcons. They're still in it somehow. They're still in it.
Absurd.
I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it either. And the last time these two teams played, Jameis Winston had a 16-point comeback win in the fourth quarter, which seems like a year ago. What is your biggest matchup in this game?
Well, I mean, I don't know how you don't look past Desmond Ridder now starting for the Atlanta Falcons. How much of these, you said it feels like a year ago that game happened. How much of these two teams changed since then, Corey? I mean, it's been a lot. We've kind of run through how we got to this point with the New Orleans Saints. So the same can be said for the Falcons. Their defense still isn't very good. Now Desmond Ridder will make his first road start, and the Saints have been awful against rookie quarterbacks. It has not been good. Robert Griffin, Jameis Winston. We could go through the list, and it's a long one. Cam Newton. It has not been good for them. Now they'll face another one. How do they defend him? Scouting him's had to have been pretty tough. Dennis Allen's talked a lot about looking at preseason tape, looking at the tendencies for the Falcons. They don't expect much to change, but it is a new guy under center. And what can you do to limit that offense? Because you're going to score in this game because their defense is just bad.
I agree. And you made a big point. I think this is all about Desmond Ridder. And Saints linebacker Pete Warner talked about how they plan on stopping the rookie quarterback.
He's a smart player. He's accurate with the ball. He can make plays out of nothing. And he's going to be looking to scramble if that read's not open. So we just got to be smart with our rush, our coverage, and I think it'll all take care of itself.
Warner also said Ridder and Marcus Mariota have similar playing styles, so they're not going to change up a lot in the game plan. Now to more on the matchup, we're going to bring in our Saints writer, Chris Lunkin. What you got, Chris?
Yeah, Corey. What usually is one of the best rivalries in the NFL almost seems meaningless given how the Saints season has gone so far. But if we are to at least try to get them to victory, here are my three keys. First, the offense will have to take advantage of red zone opportunities. This was one of the many reasons they lost games against San Francisco and Tampa Bay, amongst other games this season. And in the league like this, the red zone is where you have to cash in. Their touchdowns in the red zone are way too valuable to leave on the board. The second, get your best players involved. Alvin Kamara has struggled lately, and that could be for a variety of reasons, but regardless, it's important to get him going in both the run and pass game, given that he's still your best all-around player. And lastly, don't underestimate Desmond Ridder. As we mentioned before, the Saints, for some reason, have struggled against rookie quarterbacks. To avoid falling into another trap, it's important to not give up anything cheap and take advantage of mistakes. Corey?
Yeah, you make a lot of really good points, and I see this as a game this is very winnable for the Saints. Matt, who do you have?
No, it is very winnable for the Saints for the reasons we kind of just talked about there with the matchup. Ritter's going to have success because the Saints defense hadn't been all that great, and we touched on the issues they've had with rookie quarterbacks. But the Falcons defense stinks.
No,
like they're not good.
Really
they really
bad.
can't stop anybody. New Orleans, they've done some okay things on offense. I think they're able to score. I think you see a bit of a high-scoring game here. But I'll take the Saints, 27-24.
Chris?
I'm only taking the Saints given the history between these two teams, the rivalry. They don't like each other. We know the Saints don't like the Falcons. Falcons don't like the Saints. But I'm skeptical.
They didn't like the Bucs.
They didn't like the Bucs either, and they should have beat the Bucs. And you saw that.
Yeah.
But I'm skeptical because Desmond Ridder, rookie quarterback. I'm skeptical because the Atlanta Falcons they're not the best team, but they're playing better than the Saints. I mean, we can say that they are playing better than the Saints.
Absolutely.
Their defense is still bad, but
And bad teams always find ways to lose, and the Saints are a bad
their Saints
football
are a bad team. Yeah.
Yep. I have the Saints as well. We're all going to pick the Saints, so you know what that means. They're going to
Yeah.
lose.
They're going to lose.
Well, thank you guys for joining us, and we'll see you guys next week.